the entire point of the gold standard was so that way governments couldn't overspend and bankers couldn't overlend. That was sort of the whole point of why there was a gold standard. About 2 years ago, I did a video on this, and nothing's changed. The history is the same. None of that has gone any different. But for those who may be new, or if you're just doom scrolling and you happen to find my account, if you don't know this, I'll explain it briefly. The reason that the founders of the country, that the US, I'm talking to Americans predominantly, but this would apply to any other country too who did this, is that you had to have, gold is one of these things that it's a base metal. It either weighs or it doesn't, it's pure or it's not, you have it or you don't, that's it. That's why gold was kind of chosen, was because it didn't really have a ton of commercial application. It was more or less, it was pretty, easy to work with, and it didn't have a lot of other applications in the world. So it's kind of a good situation to use for money. Now I realize that there's some commercial application today. You don't need to go into the comments and remind me, dude, I do get that. But yeah, in general, when you compare it to the other metals like silver, for example, silver is in basically everything. Like pretty much everything you touch has silver probably in it. So, or silver is used in the process of making it. Not so much the case with gold. So all of that said, it was an automatic, binder. It clogged everything up. And so now the argument is that, well, then we couldn't have growth. That's just not true. It just means that prices come down. It just means you have something called natural deflation, okay, as opposed to this, what we see now, which is unnatural, hyper ridiculous inflation that is making everybody poorer. Deflation, natural, healthy deflation, what that does is that means that the people who did save their money, they didn't spend it on booze and hookers. Yeah, that means that they had more spending power and prices would come down, because in a normal market economy, assuming you actually had an actual market economy, nobody living today, unless you are a drug dealer, nobody living today has ever experienced an actual free market, right? I mean, you experience whatever the government or the mega corporations, the mega government, the mega corporations, the mega banking tells you is a market. Like an actual free market, actual commerce doesn't really have any rules, and it just means that it defaults back to, do you have the money to pay for any of this? Because if not, then I'm not going to sell it to you. Or I need to sell this to you, and so I'm going to lower my price to match what you can afford. That's all that is. It's actually very simple to understand, and it's apolitical. There's no politics involved in it. What most people experience now is a political economy, meaning you just vote yourself wealth, or you buy a politician or a couple of dozen politicians, and then you get them to pass a law making you rich. That's the reality. Well, a gold standard made that very difficult, if not impossible, to do. Bankers still did it. Bankers have always done this historically, where they will lend out more money than they do have gold to back it, which is of course why it was very specific that the founders of the US said we wanted to have gold coin, meaning like you had to deal in coin, not in gold script, not in notes, nothing like that. You had to actually show up with the physical gold on the counter, and that removes all the guesswork. It's an accurate unit of measurement. Now you can measure gold however you want, but again, in the final analysis, it either weighs or it doesn't, it's pure or it's not, you have it or you don't. Okay? So historically, where I was going with that was banks historically have always lent out more notes when they're given the opportunity to have paper money or paper notes or claim checks. They start lending out more or putting out more into the marketplace, which causes a bit of inflation. And nobody really gets wise to that until the inflation starts to get above like 2 or 3%. Then they start noticing prices going up, because remember, that compounds over time. And eventually a couple of years go by and you're like, hold on, why are these eggs costing so much? Why is all that, like, yeah, it's because they're putting more out there. People would get wind of this. Eventually they would find out somewhere that somebody would leak out that, hey, the banks have been lending out or giving out or just straight counterfeiting these notes and then using themselves, in the marketplace. And then there would be something called a bank run. And a bank run, if you're not familiar with that, is it promotes togetherness. The entire town comes together and they put aside all of their political differences, all of their different little petty annoyances with each other. All of that gets backburnered, and it's all their hatred is focused where it should be focused on, which is at the bankers who caused all of this. And then out comes the rope, and away goes the banker. And then people realize that, oh yeah, see, now that we've gotten rid of this, we should have done this a long time ago. Had we done this a long time ago, we wouldn't have a bunch of poor people now. Now we have poor people who now have to rebuild their entire lives. Okay? So, the gold standard was based on that. Or, you know, that's what was supposed to be there. So, I hope that makes sense. But, like, that's why you did that. That's why the founders wanted that. It was so that way this kind of thing ideally wouldn't happen again. Instead, the dollar, the US dollar, is not a unit of measurement. It is a Ponzi scheme. There's no attachment to anything. Furiously in the comments right now, for people who didn't get this far in the video, they've already commented, I can already tell, about the dollar has nothing to do with the gold standard, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know, you didn't make it this far in the video. That's why you made a comment, and I'm addressing that now, but you didn't know that. You made a stupid comment, and then you continued just doom scrolling. Yeah, it has nothing to do with gold anymore. It hasn't since 1971. Even the pretext of that, which is why you're seeing so much inflation now. And what's supposed to happen is that, well, most people are supposed to be coming together, right? You're supposed to be coming together now and saying, hold on, we need to focus our hatred, anger, and rage where it needs to go. The people who have caused all of these problems. It's a profession, by the way, not a religion. For those anybody wondering, no, it's a profession. You choose that. You choose that. You consciously choose to be a banker and counterfeiter, and an island guy who, you know, gets people to go to the island and then gets them to do a whole bunch of stuff on camera, and then you agree to lend them a bunch of fake money that you conjured from nothing. I'm not sure I can help you if you can't understand any of this, whatever, 7 minutes of video.